So, what do you do on a Thursday afternoon in middle of September on a fairly cool night when there's not much else going on? Well, if you're me, you head out to Jackson and you go check out Fright Fest's Power Hours. I'm going to get into more details about what that means, but first we've got to get in line. We got here a little early and it's already packed. So let's not waste too much time. We'll jump into details later. Come with me. This journey, won't you? There he is, our Fright Fest friend. I think we called him Fred last time. Maybe he needs a new name every time, I don't know. But we're gonna stick with Fred for a little while. So we are checking out the first evening of Power Hours at Six Flags Great Adventure. Power Hours entail some extra hours specifically for members and for season pass holders. They introduced this back in the spring, I believe, to encourage people to come into the park more on their quieter nights and to give them some offerings that they wouldn't normally get. We've also got a ton of signage here talking about all of the prohibited items, talking about all of the various rules for Fright Fest. Now, this isn't a full Fright Fest event. This is just for people who enjoy rides, thrills, and maybe a few scares, because I believe they have all of their various scare zones, their walkthroughs, and we're going to check them out. But they do not have the regularly scheduled Fright Fest events. That means no shows and no friendly family type deal. And you're looking at things to do for younger audiences. Again, this is something that is a special ticketed event. You do need a reservation for most of these events these days. So highly recommend checking out their website, finding out all of those rules before you ever even make the plans to come out. Gonna check through security here real quick, and then we'll see what the lines look like. I mean, we're here about half hour early, and they're still pretty crazy. And here we see all of the people who are just as crazy as I was, who needed to get here early, because of course you do. I'm gonna see if we can find where the lines are. Of course, you can see crowds get pretty crazy even this early on. And you can see scattered around the lines are these informational pop-ups telling you about buying your tickets online, telling you about how you do need reservations ahead of time. And that's just how things are these days. So we are now inside the park and we are appropriately dressed for the circumstances. They do have a lot of space here right now, but they are limiting how many people can come into the park today. Because of that, there's going to be a lot of open space, hopefully, and a lot of short lines. I do see some younger people here, and I think that the entire event needs to be a little bit more well organized and explained. The purpose of this event is strictly to ride thrill rides, strictly to see scare zones. Okay, so throughout the entirety of this video, I definitely say the phrase scare zone a lot. And often what I mean to say is Fright Fest haunted attractions. You know, the Fright Pass mazes. So, and before anyone else says anything, yeah, I know I messed that up. A lot. Okay, let's get back into it. This is not meant to see all of Fright Fest. As I said earlier, you're not going to see the shows, you're not going to see any of the dances, you're not going to see the regular zombies, you're going to see all the scary things. So make sure if you have little ones, maybe you leave them at home unless they're super into the scary stuff like I was when I was a kid. But that explains a lot of why I'm like how I am. I think we might take a shortcut this way, see if maybe we can avoid some extra walking. Always, I think the best way to get around the park is to avoid the lines and avoid the crowds. The best way to do that is to know all of the pathways. Most people like to head left or they like to head straight on because you see Joker at the fountain. When you head left, you can get to Superman. But you head right, get right over to Movie Town. How's it going, ladies? And you get a chance to go see some of the shows early when there is full Fright Fest. You also get to jump on some of the better rides, in my opinion. You've got Wonder Woman Lasso of Truth. You've got the Cyborg Cyber Spin right there, of course. You've got the Showcase Theater. You've got Justice League. So you've got some of the best options over on this side. And if you're savvy enough, you can hop on something like Batman very quickly. Or my favorite, recently, the Jersey Devil. And for you thrill fans, you can also check out Nitro. So there's a lot of great options by heading over to the right. Always head right, that's my motto. And I highly recommend you do the same. The one great thing about this event, in my opinion, is that Clown Town, which is normally pretty horrifying for me, it's pretty tame. So we're gonna try to get as much as we can done on this side early, because I do not want to have to come back later on in the day. Ugh. Theming, decoration, fantastic, but it is not my favorite. With this opportunity being so early in the day and not wanting to jump right into the scares, I want to get a couple thrills, get my heart racing, more so than it already is because of the steps, and just take it easy, have a little fun on one of the most underrated rides in my opinion, which is going to be Batman the Ride. I gotta say, this is one of those rides that I used to love and then I started hating for no reason. Because of the noise. As you can see, already taken off. So let's go and join the fun. Why don't we? So there was a slight delay in the launch time for Batman, and I think all the rides. They were still doing a lot of testing. Didn't see a lot of people on the rides from my point of view on the top of the ride, riding Batman. So my thought is, plan accordingly that maybe, just maybe, you might not be able to ride the ride you want as you get into the park. You might have to wait a couple minutes. It's about 1/4 after right now, maybe 20 after. We got 2 rides on Batman, so it's not too bad. Gonna head over, of course, to Nitro. See how long that wait is. Nobody is ever patient for this ride. We were able to get on Nitro twice, which was great. Again, not my favorite ride, but I'll take the opportunity to ride anything that hard to get on if it's this quick. That was another 10 minutes or so, and we swung over to see what Jersey Devil looked like. And of course, Jersey Devil, as it has been, is down once again. So, this is somewhere around the 5th or 6th time that I've come back, and Jersey Devil's just not in operations. Not certain why. I wish I could explain it. Near as I can tell, it's only because of an overly sensitive security system that's in place to protect people, obviously. But it can be quite annoying when it's so highly touted, it's so highly in demand, and it's so hard to get onto. So, maybe another time we'll be able to ride again, but until then, let's go check out Skull Mountain. And Skull Mountain was exactly what I thought it would be. It's a perfectly great dark coaster. I honestly wish that Skull Mountain had more of the features it used to have, because it is rather lackluster by comparison, but there is still that nostalgic factor. You still have a lot of fun on the ride, you still have a pretty great time overall, and even with missing all of those extra features, you still have a pretty good time. It does get a little weird because in the dark you can kind of see a little bit of what used to be there as far as the features, and it's a little eerie. It's very sad, but it's a little creepy, not gonna lie. So maybe one day they'll bring them back, but I feel like one day they'll just replace Skull Mountain and I'll be sad. Maybe not the entirety of the ride, but maybe they'll give it a facelift of some sort. Since we've been walking around for a short while and checking out what is and is not open, most everything is going to be closed in the park today that is not pertaining to their coasters, their big rides, they're big attractions. You're going to see a lot of the restaurants closed. You're going to see a lot of the attractions closed. So even the Skyway is going to be closed today. I believe they also cited that there were some high crosswinds today, which does mean that it's a bit more dangerous to run the Skyway, but at the same time, I think they might also just not want to run it when they don't have as many people in the park. However, Runaway train is riding. It is accepting passengers, so we're gonna hop on. Check that out. We've had quite a few thrills so far. We've hit pretty much all the major coasters we were looking for. Obviously, there are a few exceptions. Most notably, El Toro is still down, unfortunately. We did double check back on Jersey Devil. Again, same thing, not running yet. Hopefully it comes up and maybe we can hop on at night. I think that would be a pretty rad time. But in the meantime, while we've gotten a fair amount of thrills in, we haven't gotten too many chills yet. It's a little worrisome. I'm gonna double check and see if maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see very many scare zones being opened, and maybe because it's a little earlier in the day, I don't know. It's uncertain. But at this time, I'm gonna keep trying. Maybe we'll go rustle up some grub in the meantime. One of the creepiest things in the entirety of the park, which is that all of these locations back by El Toro are pretty much shut down. Every ride is off besides maybe Bizzaro, and none of the kiosk or food service areas are open. It's a very surreal scene, almost like a bit of an apocalypse kind of scene. It's a very eerie feeling because no one's around. Like it's weird, man. It's bizarre. It's Bizzaro. Let's go see if we can't find some people because I'm getting a little freaked out here.
Speaking of being freaked out, why don't we take a moment to talk about our first maze, conveniently located next to the Fright Pass kiosk, just across from the big wheel. That's going to be Reflections of the Dead.
So, Reflections of the Dead. Not really a very heavy scare zone. It's a nice light little romp. It's a nice little hall of mirrors, a couple quick jump scares, but nothing too crazy. Definitely low on the scale of fear factor, but it's a cute little walkthrough. One of the things that you're not allowed to do, obviously, is going to be filming. There's probably not going to be a lot of filming for most of these walkthroughs, but additionally, you have to wear a pair of gloves before you go in since you're touching a lot of surfaces with all the mirrors in front of you. So, something to consider if you want to walk through. It's a fairly light one. There were a couple kids in there with me, and I'd say, I don't know, 10, 15 at the oldest. So, something to think about if you want to walk through yourself.
And as night falls, the lights of the Midway may seem like a safe place, but they do lead to our next indoor mazes, a 2-for-1 special with the Manor and Fears, sitting just by the slingshot on the boardwalk. The Manor is not just any haunted mansion. The living dead roam the halls and live inside the walls. And with Fears, you'll prey on your worst nightmares, from spiders and blood to dolls, ghosts, small spaces, clowns, popping balloons, and more.
Any of the scare zones, you cannot do any kind of photography or any kind of videography. There's no media whatsoever allowed. So, I can't take any pictures, can't take any video for you. Even though I was alone on the one walkthrough, probably could have gotten away with it. I wasn't going to risk it. Don't need Six Flags coming down on me for that. But I can give you some descriptors now that I've gone through. The Manor. Manor was fine. Manor was kind of spooky, kind of creepy. It had old school house vibe, lots of old-timey type dress for all of the denizens, all of the scare actors, and a lot of little jump scares here and there. A little on the creepy side, but nothing over. Fears, of course, was your fears. First one, spiders. Hate spiders, but there were spiders. One of the other ones, clowns. Hate clowns. There were clowns. Be warned, if you do not like these things, do not go on these rides, or go through these scare zones, I should say. They are not friendly when it comes to people who have phobias. This one was a lot of screaming, a lot of jump scares, and of course, very well-known fears. So keep those things in mind if you want to go through those scare zones. Another note, if you want to go through for either of those two scare zones, either the Manor or for fears, the line may be shorter for one or the other, so check to see which one is moving faster. You might want to wait for one of them and then skip the line for the second one to get two out very quickly. Next up, just around the corner, we've got the lab. So let's check to see how that looks. Quite the line already.
In the lab, you'll try to escape this facility filled with unleashed experiments, mysterious test tubes, and top secret research.
So it looks like on our second pass through, Bloodshed is finally open. So let's go see what that looks like. So here you can see the wild walkway is obviously not overly decorated, but it is closed off for passing through because it does lead to Bloodshed. We just completed our walkthrough of the Bloodshed and the lab. The lab was good. It was good. It didn't have too many awful things in there. Lots of good jump scares. Obviously themed as doing illegal experiments. Bloodshed is what it sounds like. It is gory. So this is going to be for those people who love the grotesque. These are going to be for the people who love blood and gore and viscera. That's going to be for you. It's mostly just gross out. It's not my favorite, but it was fine. A couple of good jump scares there as well, but certainly not my favorite. Your mileage may vary. We're going to try and hit at least one or two more. I believe we still have to do Aftermath, so let's see if we can't get those done before we head out. And again, the lines are basically non-existent. The lines just, they're not there today. The few rides that haven't been open obviously haven't deterred people from finding alternatives, other avenues to enjoy their time. There's still about 2 hours in the park, and I am seeing basically no one here, which is pretty fantastic in my opinion. And since our lines are so short, why not check out Nitro at night? It is Nitro after all. Ha! I know, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. But I'm excited. It's been a long time since I've been on Nitro at night. So let's go check it out. So it looks like Jersey Devil is finally up and running after several hours. Third time I've jumped in, and it is loudly chugging along. So try to get on. So I have not ridden Jersey Devil since the beginning of the summer. And that's mostly because there have been issues non-stop. Every time I come to the park, there's something wrong. The lines are too long. More often than not, a ride breakdown occurs. This time, they were in full operation at the end of the night. I have not ridden at night. I've only had the opportunity to ride during the day. And they were letting people just go over and over and over again, just like those member appreciation days when they first launched. And holy Christmas. I rode like 3 times in a row. I'm starting to feel a little lightheaded. I think I might have hit my limit, and Jersey Devil was what put me over. Just as good, if not better than I remember because of the anticipation. Still definitely one of the best rides. Highly anticipated, highly recommended. Check it out, wait your turn, take the time, it's worth it, I promise.
In Aftermath, you'll try to survive this raw, post-apocalyptic world crawling with barbaric mutant scavengers. Can you and your fellow humans escape this global catastrophe? So I know at least a few people may ask, why didn't you talk about the Carnival? Well, to be frank, I hate clowns. I have a severe and unfortunate fear of them. I've been through the Carnival in the past and I've hated it every time, so I did not subject myself to it. Your mileage may vary though, you might enjoy this experience. Also, I did not get a chance to talk about Wicked Woods or Xpedition Dino. My short and sweet answer, I actually love the woods. Wicked Woods was very enjoyable for me. However, I did not care for Xpedition Dino. Unfortunately, Xpedition Dino is very enjoyable outside of this Fright Pass event, but during the Fright Pass event, they really didn't do too much to enhance the experience, so I think it was a little bit of a letdown for me. Also, I want to remind you all that these Fright Fest Power Hours are definitely a great way to save on your Fright Pass if that's something you're interested in. They are going to be cheaper than any other days that the park is normally operating. So, if you enjoy riding rides and going through these mazes, this might be an event that you should look into. But that's going to do it for this video, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And be sure to let me know which Fright Pass maze you thought looked the most interesting. That's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, and until next time, safe journeys everyone.